Welcome back to the Business Book Club.
Great to be here.
We are diving deep today into, well, a really foundational book for anyone interested in performance psychology, Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business.
Yeah, this one's a game changer. It hits you right away with this core idea. We think we're making conscious choices all day long.
We like to think that, don't we?
We do. But Duhigg points to research like a Duke University study suggesting something pretty startling. Over 40%, maybe even more, of our daily actions.
40%.
Yeah, they aren't actually decisions. They're habits, just routines running automatically.
Yeah, that 40% figure alone. It changes everything. How you think about productivity, financial security, even health. It's less about big decisions and more about these, like, invisible scripts we follow.
Exactly. So our mission today is really to unpack that. How do these habits actually form in the brain? And crucially for everyone listening, how can we change them? Especially bad ones holding us back professionally.
Where do we start? The science behind it.
Let's start deep inside the brain. There's this tiny ancient structure near the brainstem called the basal ganglia.
Okay.
Think of it as the brain's habit storage unit. It's where the autopilot program lives.
And the evidence for this being separate from, say, conscious memory is really compelling, isn't it? Like the story of Eugene Pauly, or EP.
Oh, absolutely. A tragic case. Viral encephalitis destroyed his hippocampus, the part needed for new conscious memories. He couldn't remember his doctor, the date, anything new moment to moment.
Couldn't form new memories at all.
Conscious ones? No. But here's the kicker. He could form new habits. Researchers could teach him things, like finding a hidden snack in another room, or the route for his daily walk around the block.
Even though he couldn't tell you how he knew the route, or even that he had a route.
Precisely. He couldn't describe the path, couldn't draw a map, had no conscious memory of learning it. But put him outside, and his body just knew where to go. His basal ganglia had stored the routine, triggered by the cue of being outside his door.
Wow, so the brain bypasses conscious thought entirely for these routines.
It proves the habit pathway is separate. Cue leads to routine, reward reinforces it, all potentially without the conscious mind getting involved much.
Is this just the brain being lazy? Or maybe efficient? Trying to save effort?
Efficient is the word. Habits emerge because the brain is constantly looking for ways to conserve mental energy. That's the whole point of this three-step process. Duhigg outlines the habit loop. It drives every single habit.
Okay, the habit loop. Let's break it down.
Step 1, the cue. This is the trigger. It could be anything, a time of day, a place, an emotion, the presence of certain people. Something that tells your brain, okay, run this program now.
Like seeing the coffee machine in the morning is a cue for me.
Exactly. Then step 2, the routine. This is the behavior itself. Making the coffee, in your case, it can be physical, mental, or emotional.
Got it. Cue, routine, and the third part.
Step 3, the reward. This is crucial. It's the payoff, the pleasure, the relief, the feeling of accomplishment, whatever it is that tells your brain, hey, this loop, it worked. Remember it for next time.
And it's the reward that really locks it in, right? Creates that craving.
Yes, the anticipation of the reward becomes incredibly powerful. The brain starts linking the cue directly to that expected reward. It's not always logical, it's just pattern recognition. A, cue, leads to C, reward, via B, routine.
You see this so clearly in those MIT rat experiments Duhigg mentions.
Oh, yeah. They put rats in a maze with chocolate at the end. First few times, the rat's brain activity is high everywhere, sniffing, thinking, exploring.
Learning the route.
Right. But as the rat learns the maze, runs it over and over, something fascinating happens. The overall brain activity decreases, except
in the basal ganglia.
Well, activity spikes at the beginning, hearing the click, the cue, and at the end, getting the chocolate, the reward. But during the routine running the maze, the brain goes quiet. The habit is stored, it runs automatically. Less mental effort needed.
Incredible efficiency. But that also means these habits are really, really embedded, which makes changing them difficult.
Monumental is maybe the word. Because the habit pathways never truly disappear from your brain. They just become less active if you overwrite them. They can always be reactivated.
So fighting it with sheer willpower, that's probably not the best strategy.
Generally, no. Willpower is finite. That leads us to Duhigg's golden rule of habit change. It's elegant, really.
Okay, the golden rule, what is it?
You can't extinguish a bad habit, you can only change it. And the formula is, keep the same cue, provide the same reward, but change the routine.
Keep the start, keep the end, Swap the middle.
You got it. It requires some self-analysis, figuring out what the real cue and reward are, but once you know them, you can design a new routine to slot in.
The example of Coach Tony Dungy with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers comes to mind. Terrible team, right? Lots of mistakes.
Exactly. Known for mental errors, breakdowns under pressure, Dungy didn't overwhelm them with a giant new playbook. He focused on a few key, simple plays.
And drilled them relentlessly.
Over and over and over, until the players didn't have to think. The cue is specific formation. A call triggered an automatic, ingrained positive routine, replacing the old routine of freezing or making a mistake. Same cue, same reward, winning the play, different routine.
So the key is identifying that reward, the craving driving the loop.
Absolutely critical. To change the routine effectively, you have to understand what craving it's satisfying. Is it boredom, stress relief, social connection? You might need to experiment. If you snack at 3 p.m., try going for a walk instead, or chatting with a colleague, or having a cup of tea. See which new routine satisfies the underlying urge.
This makes me think of the Febreze story. That's a classic case of misunderstanding the reward.
Yeah, definitely. P&G initially thought the cue was a bad smell, and the reward was no smell. So they marketed Febreze as an odor eliminator.
And it bombed.
Spectacularly, because the people who most needed it, people living with strong odors, often became nose blind. They didn't notice the cue.
So no cue, no routine, no sale.
Right. The breakthrough came when they studied the few people who did use it regularly. Often, these were people who'd just finished cleaning a room.
So the cue wasn't the bad smell starting. It was the end of cleaning.
Exactly. The cue was finishing the task. And the reward. It wasn't just odor elimination. It was that little spritz of pleasant scent as a finishing touch. A mini celebration. A feeling of completion and freshness.
The craving wasn't for neutral air. It was for a signal of job well done.
Precisely. Once P&G repositioned Febreze around that cue and reward, making it part of the end-of-cleaning routine sales exploded, they tapped into an existing loop.
Okay, so changing one routine can be powerful. But sometimes you need bigger shifts, right, in your whole life or across a company. That's where keystone habits come in.
Yes, keystone habits. This is a really powerful concept. A keystone habit is one specific habit that, when you change it, creates this ripple effect. It triggers other positive changes, sometimes in totally unrelated areas.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. Duhigg uses the personal example of Lisa. She was struggling, overweight, smoker, deep in debt. Her life felt chaotic.
Where does she even start?
She picked one goal: preparing for a desert trek. That required her to quit smoking first. Quitting smoking led her to start exercising to manage cravings.
Okay, makes sense.
Exercise led to better eating habits, which led to weight loss. Success in fitness built confidence, which helped her tackle her finances and eventually go back to school for a master's degree. Quitting smoking was the keystone.
One change unlocked a cascade of others. Does this work at an organizational level too?
Absolutely. Look at Paul O'Neill when he became CEO of Alcoa, the aluminum giant. The company was struggling. Wall Street expected him to talk about profits, restructuring.
But he didn't, did he? He talked about safety.
He shocked everyone. His one priority, he declared, was 0 worker injuries. Safety above all else. Investors were baffled. Some sold their stock immediately.
They thought he was crazy, but it was a keystone habit strategy.
Totally. O'Neill understood that to achieve radical safety improvements, Alcoa would have to change everything. If a worker got injured, say by molten metal splashing, the unit president had 24 hours to report it to O'Neill with a plan to prevent recurrence.
That forces communication, analysis, process redesign.
Exactly. To improve safety, they had to redesign manufacturing processes, which often meant less waste and higher quality product. They had to improve communication systems across the company. Better safety routines led to better operational routines overall.
And the results.
Profits soared. Alcoa became one of the safest and most profitable companies. Safety was the keystone that rebuilt the entire organizational culture and performance.
It's about creating small wins, isn't it? That feeling of success builds momentum.
That's a huge part of why keystone habits work. Achieving success in one area, even a small one like tracking your food daily or implementing O'Neill's safety reporting, convinces people that bigger changes are possible. It builds belief and breaks down psychological barriers.
Okay, this is all really practical.
Right.
Now, for the entrepreneurs, the professionals listening, how do we apply this specifically to boosting performance, especially when things get tough? Let's talk willpower.
Right. We tend to think successful people just have more willpower. But the research Duhigg highlights suggests willpower isn't a trait, it's more like a muscle.
It gets tired.
It fatigues with use throughout the day. There was that famous experiment, the cookie and radish study.
Ah, yes, remind us.
Researchers had students sit at a table. Some had a plate of fresh cookies and a bowl of radishes, and were told to eat only the radishes, resisting the cookies. Others just got radishes.
Right.
Another group got just cookies.
Okay, so one group had to exert serious willpower.
Exactly. Afterwards, they gave all students a difficult, frustrating puzzle to solve. The students who had to resist the cookies, they gave up on the puzzle much, much faster than the others.
Their willpower muscle was already tired out from saying no to the cookies.
Precisely. So if you use up your self-control early in the day on trivial things, you'll have less available later for important tasks or resisting bigger temptations.
So relying on sheer willpower, especially during stressful times, is a recipe for failure. Highly disciplined people aren't just gritting their teeth all day.
Not usually. Often they've structured their lives and built routines, habits that conserve willpower. They make self-control automatic where possible, which leads to the idea of implementation intentions.
Implementation intentions. Sounds fancy, but what does it mean practically?
It's basically planning for your weak moments. Identifying in advance those specific situations, Duhigg calls them inflection points, where you know your willpower is likely to fail you. Stressful meetings, late afternoons, encountering criticism.
The moments you usually slip up.
Yes. And then you create a simple automatic plan beforehand. You use the habit loop formula. When I encounter CUX, I will perform routine Y to get reward Z.
So you pre-program the desired behavior.
Exactly. Starbucks is a masterclass in this. They train their baristas extensively for a common inflection point, dealing with an angry, yelling customer.
That definitely drains your willpower quickly.
For sure. So Starbucks teaches the LE method. It's a routine. Listen to the customer, acknowledge their complaint, take action to solve the problem, thank them, and explain why the problem occurred.
LATTE.
Yeah.
A clear routine triggered by the cue of an angry customer.
Right. They rehearse it until it's automatic. So when that stressful cue happens, the barista doesn't have to rely on their likely depleted emotional reserves. They have a pre-planned, effective routine to fall back on. It becomes habit.
That's incredibly powerful for anyone in a demanding role. Plan your response to failure points before they happen.
It conserves that precious willpower for when you truly need it.
Okay, let's try and summarize the key actionable takeaways from this deep dive for everyone listening, especially those trying to build businesses or boost careers.
I think there are two main ones. First, find your keystone habit. What's the one change? Maybe it's daily planning, tracking key metrics, a morning exercise routine that could realistically spark positive change across other areas of your work or life. Identify it, commit to it.
Focus on that one domino first and second.
Second, stop relying solely on willpower. Acknowledge it's limited. Identify your specific inflection points, the predictable moments of stress or temptation where you tend to go off track.
Know your triggers for failure.
Yes, and then create an implementation intention for those moments. A simple, pre-decided plan. When X happens, I will do Y. Make the desired response automatic.
Solid advice. Find the keystone. Plan for the weak spots.
Exactly. And maybe one final thought to leave people with, something Duhigg touches on that's really profound.
Go on.
It's the power of belief, especially within groups. For really tough habits like addiction or maybe transforming a deeply ingrained negative company culture, change often becomes truly lasting when people join groups.
Like Alcoholics Anonymous or maybe O'Neill's transformation at Alcoa.
Precisely. Being in a community where change seems possible, where you see others succeeding, it fosters a powerful belief. And that belief seems to be the ingredient that makes the new routines stick, even under immense pressure. Belief helps make the habit loop permanent.
So individual mechanics matter, but shared belief can be the ultimate catalyst. That's definitely something to think about. Is change purely individual or deeply social?
A great question to ponder.
Indeed. Well, find your keystone habit this week, map out those inflection points, and maybe find your tribe. Thank you for joining us on the Business Book Club.
My pleasure.
Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into essential business thinking. We'll catch you next time. Now, that's a wrap for this episode of the Business Book Club. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss our next deep dive. Got a favorite business book you'd love us to explore? Let us know. We're always up for a good read. And hey, don't keep all these insights to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow book lover or your work buddy who's always looking to level up. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.